All right, hello and welcome back. Brett here with ClickMail. In this video, we're going to be talking about the base kind of mode of thinking, the way of thinking and decision making and problem solving that we're going to need to know in order to start setting up incentive structures. And this is something that is lacking in a lot of ministries that have a difficult time growing. And so let's get into it. And this is called win-win thinking. If this is not something that's familiar, we go really in depth with this in the high stakes decision making course. Um, and so win-win thinking is when I make a decision where I win, but I also make a decision where someone else wins. And this is such an important way of thinking. And most people are a little jaded because people say, oh, win-win, and then it doesn't actually mean win-win. I've said this to different business leaders that I've worked with in the past, and they're like, oh yeah, we don't believe in win-win. I've read it in a book I really love over here, and he talks about win-wins, but it's like it's obvious that both people aren't actually winning there. It's more like we just say it to sound good, and then really we get what we want at your expense. So a true win-win is when two people both get something to the extent that they're enthusiastic about it. They're like, yes, this is the best deal. A lot of times they won't even realize that they'll be so focused on how good it is for them, they won't even realize that the other person is winning as well when you set this up properly. And so a win-win is what we're looking for in ministry settings and Christian business settings where everybody is really, really enthusiastic and they're winning and they're excited to work together. This creates unity. Now, this is opposed to a win-lose or a lose-win scenario or a lose-lose scenario. Those are the worst. Okay, so a win-lose, and this is most common when ministry leaders or entrepreneurs or whoever it is set up their systems is, well, what do I need out of this system? Well, I need lots of money and we need more people in our church and we need volunteers and we need all this stuff. Okay. And then what happens? You need to volunteer. You need to come in here and you need to sacrifice of yourself, sacrifice for the Lord, and come and volunteer because it's your duty to the Lord, and then give us what we need. Okay, that's a win lose. And this can be very demoralizing over time, especially if it's not communicated, which is often isn't. If it's not communicated on the front end, that's what's being signed up for. So many churches that I've worked with in the past have a win lose situation where the church is winning at the expense of the church goer, the volunteer. And again, none of this is ill intentioned. This is just how the system works. And this is what people are familiar with. And the way that we get people is we have friendly volunteers at the front. We're greeting new people. We're doing outreach. We're doing SMS follow ups. The pastor sends a little video out saying, hey, it was so great. You should join a Bible study. We get them involved. And then 2, 3, 4 weeks in, we're saying, you should volunteer. Oh, we love you. You're so great. You should volunteer. And they go, yeah, oh, cool. All right. If it's this good just coming into the church, it must be even better when I get more involved. And then what happens? They start taking out the trash, and then there's no support, there's no training for whatever it is they're supposed to do, and then all of a sudden they're feeling forgotten about, and all of the positive incentivization is gone, and now they're just working with no thanks, and just because now they're just sacrificing to the Lord, and they're like, man, this stinks. What am I doing? I got to get up 2 extra hours early on Sundays to come and open up the church and clean and all this stuff, and like nobody's even here, and I don't even think anybody knows me. Like, okay, so when we set up a win lose, at some point the loser is going to check out. They're going to go, no, thank you. Okay. Now, on the other side is a lose win, where let's say in the church setting, just because this is primarily ministry, well, I guess we'll switch it up. We'll go with business. If if I'm the loser and you're the winner, you get all of the benefits and I take all of the consequences. I lose. So let's say, for example, here in the internship, if it was a a lose win where you guys are winning, um, maybe you get lots of training, you get lots of experience and credentials and clients and like client work and all this stuff, but I get nothing in return. And all of my time is put into intern training. And then I can't sustain the business over the long run. Well, if I can't sustain the business, then I can't have the interns. So then that is not going to be sustainable over the long run either. Now, the worst of all is a lose-lose. And this is where it's essentially like, well, if I can't have what I want, then you can't have what you want either. And then everybody's miserable. Okay. And obviously, I think most of the time, unless it's very toxic, that's not going to be the case, but that can be the case. Now, with a win-lose scenario, forgive me, I had a thought and okay. Yes. So there was recently a commenter that posted on our website. And I wanted to review this comment with you because I think it is very indicative of one of these systems. And I would like you guys actually to look this comment over and see what you think about it. Okay. And we can kind of see how real time issues within a ministry have to do with this idea of incentive structures. Okay, so I'm going right now, published. I'm opening that. Okay, so this is where, so this is a comment on a video where I was explaining that if you meet needs and you meet needs that people believe they have and they're really excited to have met, they're going to invite other people and come follow you. Okay, so meet needs, and I focus specifically on sort of earthly needs, food, water, shelter, these kinds of things. Okay, so let's come in here. I am going to share, and I'm going to read this comment. Oh, up here. Okay. So he says, while I agree with you, your theory in general, this has not been our experience. We have a benevolence ministry where we help needy people with food, gas, and sometimes larger expenses, rent, car repairs, etc. This has not translated into people attending through this meeting of needs. So he's quoting me there. You know, meeting of needs doesn't actually get people to follow you. We have found that people talk about how our church provides for them. So all of their friends come with their hands out, but not a single person has begun attending as a result of the ministry that specifically meets physical needs. That doesn't mean we'll stop doing it, but this theory doesn't always play out as one might expect. Perhaps it would work better with the meeting needs that are not financial in nature. Okay, so I'm going to stop sharing, and I want you guys to tell me, what kind of a system do you hear in here? Is it a win-win, a win-lose, a lose-win, a lose-lose? What are you hearing in here in the incentive structure that this ministry has set up, as it has been doing, a really good job trying to reach out and help those who are having a hard time? What do we think? And maybe if you guys raise a hand and I'll just call on you, let's do that. That way we don't have a bunch of people talking at once. Who thinks they can tell me? Okay, Shazam, what do you got?
So I think it's a lose-win situation where the ministry is losing their finances.
Great. Thank you. Okay, awesome. Who else?
I think they're in a win-lose situation because they are providing, they are trying to fulfill their purpose, their mission, their vision, but in the end they somehow fail to do it. No matter they they fulfill somehow their vision to help people,
Uh-huh.
but they don't get in return enough
Uh-huh.
value. They
Okay,
get the value of helping people and providing for them and fulfilling their purpose, but not enough value for the people to follow them and attend their
excellent. Thank you.
activity.
That's great. Awesome. Sophia, what do you got?
Well, I think it's a lose-win situation. The ministry is actually meeting the needs of people, but it seems that a lot of people are not staying back. This was, I think we can relate this biblically, where Jesus was feeding 5,000 people, and all of a sudden they all ran away when he was about to be crucified.
Mhm.
It's a normal situation in churches and ministries. Actually getting the people to stay. When you come out with, we are meeting your financial needs, you're meeting your needs physically. meeting the needs physically only just brings people temporarily and take them away, but meeting the needs physically and spiritually keeps them there.
Great.
That's what I think. Yeah.
Thank you. Yes, that's awesome. Anybody else want to throw in what they think?
What Sophia just said. So yeah, thank you.
Okay, so Mercy, you're seconding Sophia.
Yes, yes.
Awesome. Okay. So yeah, great comments, team. Good work. So yeah, it's a lose win. Their heart is for ministry, their heart is to help, and they're giving away, money and car repairs and paying people's rent and all of these things, except they're getting nothing, and and it's not that they need to get something in return. However, if you're running a ministry and you have, doors open, you've got to pay rent, like there are things that have to happen. And so, they're giving, but they're getting nothing in return. And so what this means is they have not set up an incentive structure that that incentivizes people to come to ministry. Now, if we get a little bit more specific into this, when we look at the 5 steps that Jesus used to grow his following. So if you haven't read the Ministry Growth Bible Study, 5-day Ministry Growth Bible Study, or excuse me, if you haven't taken it, you got to watch that. But one of the things that Jesus does is he calls his audience to action. He gives them a taster. He gives them free lunch. He gives them boatloads of fish. And then he says, if you like that, come and follow me. And then there's more. So the incentive there is follow me, and then you can see what the really good stuff is. Now, this ministry is not doing that. They're just continuing to give forever, and there's never a call to action to follow. That's the boundary. We're really glad that helped you. We care about you. We're going to be praying for you. If you would like to get, in on more of this type of help, hey, we've got even better stuff in church. Oh, okay. Now they're coming to church. So that would be a way to solve some of these incentive issues with this ministry and with other ministries. So they need to rethink that structure so they're not losing, they're winning. And so they can continue to do this benevolence ministry and on the back end have certain requirements that have to be fulfilled so the church wins as well. And that's not a bad thing. So with that, this is what we call win-win thinking. And I'll give one more example here before we wrap this video up, because this is such an important mode of thinking that will open up opportunities that most people don't understand even exist. Okay. When you're in a relationship with someone, let's just say a spouse or a boyfriend or girlfriend or something like that. If you believe that there's always a winner and a loser, what happens is in every disagreement, someone is going to not get their needs met, because that's what disagreements are over. Well, I like things this way and you like this way. I have this need and you have that need. If someone always loses and does not get their needs met, it incentivizes fighting and quarreling and disputes, and it incentivizes them to get bigger and bigger and bigger. Why? Because I have to fight to get my needs met at your expense. So we're fighting back and forth between a win-lose and a lose-win. And we're always trying to, shove off the short end of the stick on the other person. Well, that incentivizes fights. If you could realize instead that actually, if you just sat down and you're like, okay, hold on a second, we're on a team. And while it's really hard, and I mean, it's really hard because my wife and I have done this, it's really hard at the beginning to be creative enough to come up with a solution to a problem where you win and the other person wins, and you win so much you're both actually excited about it. That's how you build a relationship. Because why? Because both people realize every time I have a problem, the relationship gets better and I win. And so what do people want to do? They want to push into a relationship. This is true in one-on-one relationships, right? Like marriage and dating and all this. It's true when you extend that out and scale it up to ministries or businesses. And if you can think in a win-win way and you really take the time to develop the creative thinking process you need to figure out how everybody wins, you will be able to structure environments that nobody else can structure and that everybody wants to be a part of. So anyway, in this video, this is win-win thinking. In the next video, we're going to get into starting to break down how to define what those wins and loses, what those are, and how we can start structuring them in a positive way. We'll see you there.